following is a conversation with Abbie Brophy.
Hands for Abbie Brophy. Brophy with the shot. It's a good one. It's a wonderful goal from Abbie Brophy.
Now a Wexford Youths player, Abbie has previously had successful periods at both Bohemian FC and Kilkenny United. Abbie is not just a football player. She is a coach for Performance Therapy Ireland and Bike Row Ski. In this podcast, we discuss mindfulness, tools to improve yourself, and the importance of setbacks. We hope you enjoy.
Abigail. Is that your actual name?
Yes.
Officially?
Yeah, on my birthday.
Sort.
Yeah.
Abigail Brophy.
Yeah.
You said that. You said it was Abbie earlier.
No. Don't mistake it. You typed Abbie. I said, oh, it's actually Abigail, like messing. But it is. And I said, oh, it actually is Abigail. But it's, like, she's obviously called Abbie. Day to day.
Okay.
It's like, who are we talking about? Benji, who listens to the podcast all the time. Benji. His name is Benjamin. But he's commonly known as Ben. But his actual full name is Benjamin.
And Patrick and Paddy Kirk.
Yeah.
We had to hold the buckle on that one too.
Yeah, I never call him Patrick, ever.
No, we had to call him Patrick for the whole thing. I was thrown, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, and now I'm consciously calling him Pat. And I notice you, Finn, always call him Patrick. Because he respects him. Love that. Anyway,
Yeah.
welcome. One of our longest serving players, I would say. Duration-wise, we've worked together for what? 2.5 years, maybe? Maybe even longer.
Yeah.
Incredible.
This is my second season at Bose, I'm going to say. First or second. I came up with Sinead.
Yes.
And
The first day was just you and
Niamh.
Sinead.
Oh, and then Niamh.
Eve was there. Eve Kinheedy was
Oh,
there
yes,
that day. Finn's
yeah.
sister was there that day.
Yeah.
And you trained as a trio.
yeah.
I remember that. Because it's
that
on
was
camera.
Ages ago. Yeah.
Youngers.
In Sowridge.
It was in Selvage. It was the women's group when we were just starting it. Love that.
Yeah. It's great.
Is that in your personality as like an early adopter of things to better yourself?
I'd like to think so. Definitely with football. Because like that, we didn't... I never had that when I was growing up as a kid. I always just played with boys, and the whole idea of additional or supplementary coaching was never there. So when I obviously saw or seen that you guys were there, I was like, yeah, I'm going to grab that and get started early.
The difference, so just that, I need to find that footage. It's on my old phone. It's probably in the iCloud. Me and Daly will go rooting for it and find it of the first session.
Yeah.
Wow.
I couldn't kick... What's that saying? I couldn't kick snow
Snuff a rope. Snuff a stick. Off a rope. Snuff a rope. Snuff a stick.
But yeah, I remember that.
Long time ago. We'll find the footage. We might even put it on the podcast. We'll see.
Yeah,
Put it in the intro. Right. Let's kick it off. Obviously now you're playing with Wexford. Yeah. How are you finding it?
Enjoying it? Yeah, absolutely. I think the girls' management from even before I actually went there, they were lovely to me on and off the pitch, even previous years. And when I went there initially, they were absolutely fantastic. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
So to kick things off, what do you think are like the main lessons you've experienced? Obviously you started in Kilkenny, obviously not a club now, isn't that right? Did they end the year after you
I think
left?
it was the year after I left. Yeah.
So from Kilkenny, Bowes, now Wexford, what's the main lessons you've learned in football up until now?
It's a tough question. I think definitely it's just I think maturing in the game is a huge thing for me, because like that, from when I first started Kilkenny to now with Wexford and with Bowes in the middle, huge like changes from the standard of football with Kilkenny to standard of football and like facilities with Bowes to now the standard of football with Wexford and facilities. Like there's always progressions with it, and I learned so much from past coaches to players to management to help me, and even to you guys from following that from when I was started with Bowes to now at Wexford with you guys. So definitely just overall there's so much to learn, and even now I'm like, yeah, I've learned a lot from Kilkenny to Wexford as a player and individually, but the league is constantly evolving. There's players coming in younger than me that are evolving even quicker than I evolved back then. So it's like, what can I learn now and what can I learn next year and the year after that? So there's so much to learn individually and as a group from then to now, because everything's always evolving. So the question is, I don't know what I learned, but I'm still learning. That's the answer.
Of course. When it comes to obviously like your initial experiences in the Women's National League, now known as the League of Ireland Women's, League of Ireland Women's, what do you think is the main difference from when you started in Kilkenny? Because the league obviously has jumped significantly. Personally, have you found anything being majorly different from when you started to now?
I suppose when I was with Kilkenny, I was still very new to, I suppose it was Women's National League back then. I was still very new to it. I was really finding my feet. I was lacking a lot of confidence. I just kind of played to play. I didn't really play with a structure. I didn't play with tactics personally, like not on the team, but personally, because I was still very much new to that level of football. And even then, like, it was tough going. We got beaten a good bit by the bigger teams like Pima and Shells, Wexford at the time. But now it's the same, like, same principle, same foundation. But like I said, newer teams coming in. Like, I know Shamrock Rovers were in the league before, but I wasn't there. They're back in. Sligo, Bows, Athlone, like, they're all newer teams that were in the league from previous. But it's now players are developing from a younger age, because the coaching standard, especially when I was younger to now, it's so much better. It's so much more advanced. So obviously the coaching standards are increasing and getting better. So the players are going to get better from a younger age. So the women's game and the girls' game underage is getting so much more advanced than it was years ago. So I think that's definitely helped to get where the league is at now, because the younger players and the older players, like, we're all in the same category now, and we're all fighting for the same thing, I guess. So definitely it's progressed from back then to now.
I suppose the exposure helps as well. Now, we were talking about the LOI TV off camera, but makes a big difference that now you can actually, without physically being at a game, you can watch any game you like, which is obviously makes a huge difference.
Because I never had that when I was a kid, or I never watched females play to that extent when I was a kid. So now it's like, I know it might seem small, but like, I'm going to my match the weekend and I'm like, people can watch me play. Like, my mom can watch me play, my nanny can watch me play, little girls and little boys or whatever can watch me play. And I know that might not seem huge because you don't know how many people's watching, but it's still a pretty decent feeling.
Quick one on what you said originally. At Kilkenny, you said you played with a lack of confidence. Where did that stem from? Or why did you have a lack of confidence?
I don't know. Like, when I was younger, I was obviously with Shells underage for, like, I'm going to say 6 or 7 years. And I remember just at a point where I wasn't getting much game time. I didn't really have much belief in myself. And I was playing with, like, bigger players. Like, a lot of the girls that were with Shells and were Raheny at the time played with, like, in the same team as I was, or the team above me. And I had a lot of, like, competition. So that's obviously going to affect you, especially when you're younger. When I was like 13, 14, 15, I was like, okay, these girls are better than me and I'm not as good. I'm not getting the chance or opportunity. So when I went from Shells, like, senior level, to step up with Kilkenny, I just had that mindset of like, okay, there's going to be girls here better than you, and you might not get your chance, and that's how life is. There's going to be people better than you, and that's probably not the best mindset to have. But at that moment, I didn't really have anyone to guide me. And like, my mom, God bless her, she was great with supporting me, but she never knew how to, like, I suppose, approach it in a more realistic way and help me kind of grow from there. So I didn't really have much guidance in relation to that. So it was only when I started maybe coming to you guys where I had a bit more of a guidance, and then I went on to Bows where the league and the standard was a bit higher, that I kind of was like, okay, I can actually play football and people kind of believe in me.
Interesting.
Was there a turning point? I know confidence is like this. You could have a great day and a terrible day. But did you feel like at one stage where you were playing consistently for Bows in the league, playing with the players you thought were bigger and better than me, playing with them or against them, was there a turning point where you're like, right, now I feel confident? Or is it the case of it just comes with constantly being at it every single day, and eventually that kind of self-belief grows from that?
I'm going to say, if I remember it briefly, I remember it brief enough to be fair. It was first season done with Bows, obviously very, very new to me, good standard, great facilities. But then I'm pretty sure it was the off season then after the first season, where we just hounded, like, technique, we hounded shooting, we hounded just like dribbling with the ball and like crossing and taking people on and getting more confident each session I had with you. And then I played as a fullback, right full, for the first half of my second season with Bows. And obviously that was a bit new to me because I hadn't played fullback in ever, and I was very much more attacking minded. But like that, it's just still hounding the same principles week in, week out. And from the stuff that we worked on off season, I then went back to right wing. I started scoring a few goals, and it was like the halfway through of the second season, and I ended up finishing like top goal scorer for Bows. And it was just one of them things where it's like, okay, I know I can play. I've worked on things, and even we worked on the third season as well. We work on the same principles as a winger, and it was just kind of from second to third season with Bows, it was like, okay, I can play. I can compete against top defenders from top teams, and why can't I not have that mindset of like, yeah, every game's not going to be a great game to such an extent, but it doesn't mean every game has to be a negative game where you can't try and you can't go at players and you can't do your best in that moment. So I think mindset did change from season 1 to season 3. But like that, it's just backing yourself and having the tools like you guys, like your own training outside of football to help you. Everyone needs a bit of like a little push to help you get through, I think.
I appreciate the kind words.
Thank you.
Especially for you guys. I think on the one-on-one side, it's always great to see like personal relationships being built. I think the relationship that you and Morgan have between player and coach is one of the best I've seen. You've got a similar thing with the Adiamo brothers as well, which I think is really cool because it definitely has like a family feel to it. It's more just in football, which is great. Can I ask more of a personal question on confidence? I often find it's not a case where a person is just confident in football and then they're not confident playing the guitar, for example. Confidence is more so like a personal thing. Do you think that a lack of confidence in football in the original days came from a lack of confidence in yourself as a person, or was it exclusively just for football?
Maybe I'm gonna say like a little bit of both, but I do think on a personal level as well, because I was never an out there kid as when I was younger. Like I was out there, but I was never like you'd pick me out in a crowded room. Like I was just very much like kind of keep to myself, have a group of friends. I was never out there. I was never oozing with confidence as a kid. I was insecure with like how I looked, how like if I was carrying weight or like that kind of visualization myself. In school, I was never the smartest kid in the class, so I wasn't like oozing a confidence in relation to like, oh, I'm really smart, or even when I leave cert, I didn't get the highest points out of my friends, and I wasn't very confident going into exams like that. So I think definitely overall, I wasn't as confident as I'd like to as I was when I was a kid, and I kind of wish someone maybe when I was younger had shaken me a bit to kind of help me with confidence, because obviously if you don't work on that as a young kid, how are you meant to adopt it when you're an adult? So I definitely do think from personal level for me, but I don't think it's just individualized to one thing, like to football or to whatever. I think it is overall. There's either some people that ooze confidence from the minute they can talk and walk, and then there's some kids that just need a bit more of a helping hand. And like I always say, like it's like backing yourself. Like I needed someone to help me and take me out of that corner. I need someone to like just give me a little help every now and again with anything in life. So definitely it's either maybe in you from the get-go, or you just need to work on it.
Do you find that you work very well in support units? So let's say, for example, with training 1-to-1, Morgan would have been like a really good support mechanism for football. Do you find personally that support mechanisms for all parts of life are a huge benefit to you?
Yeah, definitely. So like Morgan was obviously like in various you all were, but Morgan was like my anchor in 1-to-1. Say my mom could be my anchor in more of my home life, and then I have a couple of really close people I have in work and in school, and they know who they are, but like they're my anchors in life. And I think you need those kind of people in life, because like that, we're not made to like live on our own and be on our own. We're not like, as a human species, we're not made to do that. We're made to be surrounded by people who care and love for us and want the same for us as we want for ourselves. So definitely I think whether it's home, work, sport, I think it's nice to have a support or a social group of some sort, because it just helps you get through it, I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say it's nice. I think it's just necessary, isn't it? Like even with the loneliness statistics as well for young adults. If you, well, it depends on what side of the paper you look at, but it can be quite a bleak world for people that don't have support networks, because it really is just a vicious slope, stemming from confidence issues. And then if, say, for example, like a bad incident happens and then there's no coping mechanisms or support units, things can go downhill very quickly. And that's why I kind of want to talk more about because people think that confidence in football is mutually exclusive compared to the person that they are. And from what I've seen anyway, from coaching and playing, I just think that's, it's bullshit, really. I just think football, like all sports, is just an extension of who people are. I know some people definitely have like better expression in sport versus other aspects of their life.
Yeah.
There's some people that would cross the white lines and they're a different person. I understand that. But I definitely think at the core, if you really just zoom in rather than zoom out, I think confidence is definitely one of those things that is just like fluid between the person and the sport itself. When it comes to where you are and how you manage a day-to-day life, really, at this stage, is there any coping mechanisms that you have personally to deal with stress or when you go through those dips of low confidence?
I suppose, like, disregarding us, because I suppose this week, actually, a member from Bike or Ski, her name is Ruth, she basically, it was like, we do this thing in Bike or Ski where it's like, we acknowledge members for how many classes they've achieved and how many classes they've attended. So we do like milestones of like 100 classes, 250, 500 classes, and like just acknowledge them, be like, well done, you've consistently been with us for this long. So she did her 500 class with me, and she got myself and two other of the coaches in Bike or Ski a head plan journal. I don't know if you've heard of it. Have you?
I use head plan.
Oh my God. Like, it is, and I've only used it this week. Amazing. Like, this is like helped me so much, because I've never done this before. I've never journaled to such an extent. I've never like taken time in the morning, in the night, to sit down for like 10 minutes, get off my phone and just appreciate my day. Like little things, little wins my day, affirmations I want to go by, what I was grateful for. And I wouldn't have never appreciate those little things. And since I started doing this week, that's something that helps me a lot. I'm like, yeah, I wake up, and some days I wake up and I have a bad sleep, and I already think about how stressful my day is and things that are going wrong in my personal life or social life or football life. And I'm like, I'm already feeling like this weight is on my shoulders. And I'm like, how am I going to get through today? I'm working, I'm playing football. How am I going to get through it? And now I'm like, okay, Abbie, you need to relax for a second, like 5 minutes, do a bit of journaling. It doesn't even, if I don't finish the whole page, if I write down 2 things I'm grateful for, what I'm looking forward to today, it really does help. And like, it's simple things that I've never appreciated before in my life. And now I'm kind of like, this is a good habit you're going to create, and you're going to stick to it because it will help you in the long run. And no one else can do it but myself. So besides that though, probably I didn't really manage stress or manage how my day was going to be if I was anxious or distressed or something, because I would just get up, train, probably if I'm not in work early. Training would help me, like strength training, my gym, and then go my work day, but something could trigger me in that day. Then I might have football and I'm focusing on football at that moment. But no, besides that, I probably wouldn't have taken care of my mind in that regard as much as I should have. So now with this head plan journal, I'm like, this is the start of something good. So now I'm like, yes, I feel on track, and it's helped me a lot. So hopefully I just stick with it, and taking those few minutes to not be on your phone and just to actually sit with a coffee, nice, good vibes, see what you're grateful for in life. And I don't think a lot of people do that. A lot of people do, but not many people do it enough, I feel. So I'm glad you do it and you have one, because you can probably understand how nice it is.
Yeah, it's difficult, I find. I always think gratitude is something that I really struggle with, typically because I just get swamped with the external pressures of what life is. One of me and Morgan's best mates, Tal, sent me a very interesting text the other day. I think it was Thursday. He goes, what small things did you appreciate last week? And because I was specific, it was like small things. It just zooms you right back into the present, whereas sometimes you kind of get bogged down with the larger questions in life. Like, for example, you're worried about like business cash flow. You got to train. You got a session next week with a new kid. You got to make sure you look after him, and you just take on too many like external pressures. But there's something very powerful about the written word when it comes from your own brain and being able to actually physically put that down on paper. I think, if not mistaken, did you start a gratitude practice as well?
The last 3 weeks I've been journaling every day.
I love
Would
that.
you believe?
I
Yeah.
love that.
And when you were saying that, there was something, because I am terrible at that as well, trying to remember small things that I've done, or like that you were saying, like little wins. And I couldn't frame it in my head, because my journal isn't a head plan journal, so it's actually not made for it. It's literally just a day by day journal with just about that size and just has lines in it, and it's just day by day. So whatever is in my head, I write it. The first thing I'd ask myself is like, what was today? So that's how I started questioning it, and then I'd start writing. And then recently, I don't know if I was telling you about it unless you listen to the podcast, but I'm going to Gary's therapist now as well, just to chat and for some internal thought. And he's making me compliment myself once a day or something like that, write something. And I was like, I don't even know how to start that phrase. So I've started writing like to me, and I just pick a word and then go off it. So that's kind of how I'm working it. But it's hard to do, isn't it? Like to try compliment yourself, and like that's stopping a day. But it is good. I do it at night when I'm in bed. But there's so many different ways of doing it. But to be honest with you, I don't even know how I managed up until now not doing it.
Yeah.
Like, because you just float 4 months, you don't even know what's going on. You're never stop. Like, but when you do stop, it's very important for you. I believe I'm feeling that now anyway, and we've been discussing it. Like, it's very important for you. I believe anyway. So yeah, the how would you say, like the stops in your day doesn't seem like much. 10 minutes, you're like at the start, you're like, just stop for 10 minutes, it's grand. But when you try stop, it's not easy. And then once you get into the habit of doing it, though, once it becomes habitual, and you have like 6 to 8 weeks of actual tangible results of like how you feel or whatever the outcome might be, it's very good. So
yeah, I find journaling is one of those things that it's not like a rule book. You can do it however the hell you want to do it. Like how have you approached the pen and paper methods recently this last week?
So like usually, depending on like what my day is like, if I'm up for 5 a.m, I won't do it obviously until I get home from work.
Yeah.
But like this morning, I was not up early, so I literally made myself a coffee, because that's one of the most wholesome things I could ever do, is make myself a coffee, or get a coffee. And then I just sat down, didn't go on my phone. I was like, Abbie, you have like 10 minutes on your watch, 15 minutes. I'll go out and train then. But like I think it was like affirmation a day, and then it was, what was it? It was, what am I looking forward to today? Or what am I grateful for today? And literally it's small wins, like simple stuff. Like I said, my dogs, I literally looked down at my dogs, smiled, because they make me so happy. I said sleep, because I slept good and I need to recover so I can go for the week ahead. If I don't sleep well, and you guys know your week is 10 times harder than it is. So I said my dogs, sleep, and then I said being able to train, as in move my body, because a lot of people probably can't, whether for any reason, mentally or physically, they're unable to move their body, whether it's walking, training, football, sport. I'm like, Abbie, you are so lucky that you can train and you can play football and you can walk and you can move your body. So they're my 3 simple things that I did, and I'll do what I was looking forward to today. And I think it's 3 points at the end that a positive thought on the day. So I'll do them later tonight when I go home, and this will be one. I'll be like, I got to do a podcast, my first ever podcast I've ever done, and it's with you guys. So I'm pretty happy out. So yeah, I think definitely you can do it on your own time, you can do it how you want, journaling, but it's just the idea of it. So it's been pretty good so far. Hopefully I keep it up.
Can I ask a bigger question? Do you think the tools for a great life are just all within?
Jesus, gee.
That was deep. But
You always just come in with these things.
Because
do you hear that?
topic.
He always just comes in.
That's
good.
topic,
It's a very good question.
Because you said there, like looking at your dogs can bring the most joy you can ever see. I've experienced that a couple of times before, where it's like, wow, like that's incredible, and it really just takes away all of life's pressures. Because like even appreciation for like a good partner or a parent comes from within. It's not a case where it's obviously the partner or the parent is great, but the love and affection comes from it's internal from you, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
even if you can put or shed light on that feeling, it definitely helps that.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think what you said is true, because I know, like you said, there's external factors and pressures and stressors that are thrown at you on a day-to-day basis, but it's how you react to those stressors and that pressure and how you deal with it. And like in the past, I probably haven't dealt with those things correctly. I probably overreacted or put myself in this slump or this hole that I can't get out of. But it's how you deal with things at the end and how you perceive life. And like that, yeah, I think you do control the bulk of what happens in your life, if not all of it. You might not think that you do, but you control how you react to things. You control how you feel for things, how you feel for people, how you're going to go on with your day. And yes, there's stuff that affects that, but yeah, I suppose the whole thing at the end of the day is what matters to you, and how you respond and deal with things is how you're going to get out of it, I guess. So maybe, yeah, I think I've never thought about that before, but yeah, I think it's all within, even though it doesn't seem it. And I know it's so difficult because life can be so hard, and it can, and I'm not saying it can't, but like, I know this is, I think, one of my affirmations, and I don't know if it's an affirmation, but I made it one. I was like, the whole idea is probably cringy and people are going to be like, oh God, she actually said that, but it's true. Life is what you make it at the end of the day. So like, yes, life can be hard and life can be difficult, but it also doesn't have to be that bad. So maybe not.
I agree. I don't think that's cringy at all. I think life is what you make of it.
Some people might do, but at the end of the day, they're gonna adopt it in their mindset, even though they're like, oh, she actually said that, but I'm like, you do, like, we all think it.
Intrinsically. And it's funny when people talk about like, oh, like that made me cringe. One thing that somebody said to me was very interesting. Like, if something big like that is making you cringe, you should probably look a little bit internally as to why it is, because you're not comfortable with that idea. And that can work for many things. I always think that's really funny when you pay attention to how you feel about like people or different situations. You can actually learn a lot about life in general, which I find very interesting. But did I scare you with that question, Morgan? Sorry.
No, I thought it was a good question.
It was a very good question.
And it was coming. I knew something was coming. It was getting too deep for a minute. I was like, something's going to break. And it was going to be G that asked the question. Something was coming. You could sense it. When you're in the podcast studio and G starts climbing the mountain,
Yeah, you
we're
never
in real
know.
trouble.
Yeah, I've been there before.
He's been on this mountain. I don't think you've been off it for the last 7 months.
I'd say about 2 years now. I'm definitely climbing. Dave knows that.
You and
Gary's
Claffy.
loving it back there.
I always get slagged for it.
I think we should pivot. That was cool. That was a good conversation. So obviously a lot of your life is based around football. Our connection is through football. That's how we know each other and so on. But one of I'd say the key pillars of your life is weightlifting. Is that how you put it? Obviously there's lifestyle and stuff to it, but is weightlifting the general conception of how you describe it?
Yeah.
First of all, how did you get into that line of work and then into the hobby more so?
Yeah. So my initial idea was in college, I wanted to do, after my leaving cert, I wanted to do sports science and health. And I wanted to do that in DCU. And I also had Tala down. But I didn't get enough points. And then that kind of was the whole thing of the whole confidence thing. And I'm not going to get the points and all that stuff. So my backup was business, because my mom was like, look, do a business degree. You can always fall back onto it. And I did. So I did international business. And it served me well. Like, I really enjoyed it and I learned a lot, but it wasn't for me. I wasn't going to be a complete businesswoman or an accountant, a 9-to-5 job. It just wasn't for me. So in college, I did a PT course. I did a PT course it was a place called Evolution Fitness. It's not there anymore, but it's literally right around the corner from my house. So I did that in the evening time from college, and then on a Saturday or Sunday. And I'm pretty sure that was like a 16-week course. And then I did a nutrition course following that. So I was like, look, I want to get into the gym. I don't know. I just kind of wanted to be a PT. I wanted to just learn a bit more. I didn't necessarily want to actually PT people, but I wanted to have that knowledge. So I then did the course and I learned a lot, and I was like, look, I want to advance. And I then actually applied to be a member or signed up for a gym called Performance Therapy Ireland. And I did like a fundamental, so basically it's like a movement assessment with Stuart Gretton. And I was chatting to him throughout my fundamental, just chatting to him about my life and what I want and all that. And literally the next day I get like a call from Stephen Wyman, who is the owner of PTI, Performance Therapy Ireland, and was like, we want to offer you a job. And that's the whole thing of like, I never actually became a member there. I just joined PTI, and that's the whole thing of how Bike or Ski was created. Steve and Sue had come up with this idea of Bike or Ski, and it's a company within and it's a business within PTI. So there's a whole, both gyms are under the same bracket. And so I trained in PTI and I started weightlifting there. I started just training in general for functional fitness and to help with football as well. And I just started working for Steve, and I work in Bike or Ski and the actual gym, Performance Therapy Ireland, or PTI. So that's how it all came about.
Very nice.
I never knew that.
Yeah, well, there you go.
That's very interesting. Really cool. So when it comes to the lifts that you do, are you on a set program that is football specific, or is it lifestyle specific?
Bit of both. So at the moment, Carl, so Stu's brother, he is the manager of PTI and he programs it, but obviously he knows he's actually coach for the Bows 19s team, the lads. So he's very much involved in football and understands, and it's great because I have him to talk to about it as well as Stu. But Carl programs it, and I'm on a program that does help my football. It's powerful, it's explosive, it's functional, so I still move well, and it'll help me with that explosive power I need on the pitch. So yeah, I've been on that program since I kind of started playing with Bows 2 or 3, 4 years ago nearly now. So it's been helping me. I obviously build my programming around training and around matches. I would never overload myself. I try to be smart with it because obviously football is priority and performing well is priority, but like it doesn't mean I can't still train. Like I shouldn't not strength train because I have training, or I shouldn't strength train the day before a match. Like I do, depending on what my matches are or what training is, I still do train, but it's going to be scaled back, or it could be just moving my body. It could be an easy sweat, or it's my actual training days. So I do definitely manipulate it around football because that's priority, but like I still love moving my body in some shape or form, Monday to Friday match, and then an active recovery day or a complete rest day depending on the game before on a Sunday. So definitely it can work well, my strength training, with performing well at football.
What do you say to people that would argue that you should only be training 3 days a week for 2 hours max?
Listen, like I think this is definitely, some people will come at me for this, but like definitely from my personal experience and how I've dealt with it, I love training. I probably train 4 to 5 days a week. Strength training, depending on the days with football. I train with football twice a week and I have a match on a Saturday. Are there days where I feel like more fatigued? Yes, but is it completely to my training? No. There's external factors like sleep. For females, it's your cycle. Like there's so many things that is going to affect how I perform. And to say, oh, you shouldn't strength train because you're going to be tired and you're going to be overusing muscles and you're not going to perform well. Like, I don't really agree with that. If I don't perform well on a match, that's on me. It's not on, like, in fairness, my training, because it's like how I perform. Like, some days I'm going to feel great on the pitch and I'm going to be tactically tuned in, positionally tuned in, and that's on me as well. But other days, I'm not going to be as sharp or on the ball as much. But I'm not going to blame all that on, oh, you lifted too heavy at the week. You can't do that. That's like saying, I don't know, like you ate too much or you didn't get enough sleep. But there's so many more factors than just strength training. So look, I'm not going to say this is right, this is wrong. It's all about me personally at the end of the day, because I'm the only one that's doing it. It's my body. But what works for me now is what I'm doing. And if I need to scale back and not train on a Friday or to active recover on a Sunday because my match, then that's my choice to make. But for someone to say, you're doing this wrong, you can't do this, can't do that, and then blaming maybe my performance on that, then it's not you. That's like, you can't say that about someone. So I definitely think there is a conversation about that, and maybe I don't have enough knowledge on it, but I have enough knowledge for myself. So what works for me might not work for someone else. So it's just taking it day by day, week by week, session by session for each individual.
That makes a lot of sense. Have you seen any misconceptions that you see specifically for females when it comes to training, or let's say, for argument's sake, one thing that I've heard from players is they're afraid to eat more calories in the fear of putting on weight or being too bulky, for example, but it's actually deterring from performance because of the amount of energy they're actually spending. Have you seen any misconceptions that are very common, or in fact even dangerous potentially, from what you've seen on the performance side?
Yeah, I love conversations like this, to be fair, because I'm still learning every day from these type of topics. Like I know myself, from when I first started training in the gym, I was like, I think I was in my first or second year of college. I just did basic bodybuilding, just leg day, back day, chest day, and that works for some people, and it worked for me for a while because I was a new baby in the gym. I was adapting really, really early, and I saw changes, but I ate very little because I wanted to look a certain way. And I said to myself, okay, you need to eat less and move more, basically. And I was doing loads of ridiculous cardio on the cross trainer or treadmill, and I lost a lot of weight, and I was at my lowest weight I'd ever been, but it wasn't my healthiest. And I'm not going to say I developed a full-blown eating disorder, but I developed a bad relationship with food and a bad relationship with my body in that regard. And then I started to learn more and more from my personal training course, from the lads at PTI, and just in general, there were so many people. I went on I signed up for with a nutritionist, I'm going to say. I think that's like an online nutritionist.
Yeah.
And she's actually a member in the gym. Her name's Michelle Hone, but she developed a nutritional platform called the Fit Clinic, and I was with them for, I'm going to say, the guts of a year. I learned better food habits, learned more about my body, how it reacts to foods, what I should be eating, what time I should be eating. So it was great. That platform was great because it was a good setting stone for myself. But then now I'm like looking, like with athletes in general, not even footballers, we exert so much energy training, like playing football, like a match, or even our other training, whether it's strength training, running, supplementary training like yourselves. We exert so much energy week on week with that. And then you're like, why are you depriving yourself of calories? Like, are you afraid of gaining weight? Probably, yeah. Are you afraid of essentially carbs? But like that, carbs are what we need training. Like you guys know yourselves, when you're out coaching all day, you need carbs. You need that fuel source to be able to keep going. So when people are like, oh, I don't want to eat because I don't want to gain weight, I'm like, you're killing your performance on the pitch then. And like, I know looking good is a huge thing in the world, and I like to look good. We all like to look good. Like, it's just a thing, I suppose, about ourselves. But if you're going to put time and effort into football, why would you do things to corrupt that? And corrupting that is not eating enough. It's not drinking enough water or electrolytes to supplement the salts you're losing in your body. Sleep, recovery, like all these things do come into play. And it's like, if you're taking one of them out and not feeding your body, like, you're not going to get the most out of it. And then you're going to get frustrated, and then you're going to get upset. And it's this whole vicious cycle. So definitely, I'd like to think that it's getting better, that like people need to eat when they move more. You need to eat a hell of a lot more, actually. But I know society has this visualization that we need to look a certain way. And being, I don't know, not as that athletic body and lean and ripped is frowned upon if you don't look like that, and especially in high performing athletes. But I definitely do think there is a stigma around it, and I think it needs to be tackled more and more, because as we evolve and stuff like that, it's going to just get worse, unfortunately, and society is going to get worse and more judgmental. And I'm not saying everyone is like that, they're not, but it's still there, and people still want to look good. And if you're in that performance bracket of a high elite sport, you need to eat. You need to mind your body and let it recover to be able to go again. Because I know after a match, you're mentally and physically exhausted. And like if you don't recover that night, that day after, or even the week after, and then the next training session comes around, if you're not fully recovered, you're not going to perform well. Simple as. So I do think it's something that needs to be addressed more and more, but I do think it is hopefully getting better as well. But I don't know, it's one of them things where it is a hot topic, I guess.
Yeah, no doubt.
I don't want to steer off topic too much, but one common denominator that I think is important to bring up, but I'm sure you've picked up on it as well, that pretty much everything you've mentioned thus far, we mentioned about support system at the start, but every like hurdle you've ever had or something, or an interest you've had, doesn't always have to be bad, sometimes it can be good. You have an interest or a hurdle. Every single time you've like had a, what do you call it, like a hunch? Is that what you call it? You went and associated with something in that bracket, which is obviously we very much appreciate, because when it came to wanting to improve technically as a footballer, you come to a supplemental football coach. Thankfully, that was us. You want to have a better relationship with food, go to a nutritionist. You want to learn more just about the gym, not even becoming a PT, but you went to a PT course. It's a good place to start. And then therefore you get yourself in these environments, i.e. PTI, bike row ski, with really good people. And like with that like collective feel, using all these like external people and places, you just have like this, what I would call a good success story thus far with your life, because you're a high performing athlete, you're doing very well in your personal life, and then obviously you've got a successful job per se, you're doing very well in it. It's just, I think it was important to note that, again, one of our key things we always bring up is proactivity, and that a lot of people will just sit around and just be doing nothing. But if you go and seek external things like that, I think it's a good testament to you, and important that people understand that, because it literally, I haven't spoke too much to the podcast thus far, I've just been listening, but everything you've said is just correlated to getting yourself in and around good circles, good people, and you've just improved fundamentally as it goes along. For example, the woman you trained, was it yesterday, you said 500 classes, there's a reason why she's coming back to you, and also the culture, but also since you were with her and formed that relationship with her, she so happened to give you this head plan, and that will probably change your life now for the next couple of years. That doesn't happen without being in the right circles, and I suppose, as generic sounds, surrounding yourself with the right people. But a lot of people, I think, say that and throw up a lot of quotes on Instagram, like surround yourself with the right circle. What a lot of shit. Like, you have to be proactively going after these people like that. If you want to learn about weightlifting, geez, you could watch YouTube videos, and great, by all means, we do that a lot for a lot of research. That's really good for you. There's free information, free content out there. But actually going and physically doing like a PT course without the intention of becoming a PT, just to learn about it, I just think it's really interesting. And with that, like I said, you kind of get yourself in around the right people. And again, we found that some of the best mentors we've had have nothing to do with football. They're just really good people, either, again, from a business perspective, has helped us. It's just important to note that proactivity. So it's a good testament to you. We'll go back to the gym side of things. I've a one I was thinking about asking you earlier on, just when it comes to, obviously you hear stories, and I'm sure there are some terrible stories of like women or girls starting in the gym. It's a very like masculine thing, as it shouldn't be, but it is perceived like that. It's definitely getting better, I would presume. I see, even if we go to the gym, there's loads of women and girls in there, which is great. That's exactly how it should be, and it should be welcoming, that type of environment. But to break that initial start point, and again, girls are starting younger, which is fantastic, as they should do. Strength training is obviously good mentally or whatever, but it's fantastic for, like you said, just functional movement, being able to get up and walk, not just when you're 30, but when you're 80. It's just as important for everyone. What advice would you give to someone who's not only a PT, but actually just jumping in and starting in the gym? Obviously, people don't have a massive amount of knowledge when they start in the gym. Or if they do, fantastic, but not a lot of them do. What would you give advice-wise to a young girl starting in the gym?
Like you're right. There used to be this huge thing where the gym was like just for men. Like, I know in my mom and my nanny's generation, it was like women never went to the gym, or they went to like women's only classes or whatever. It was never like you could walk into the gym and there's a lad beside you benching or squatting, whatever it is. So it can be daunting, and it's daunting in general going to a new thing, and like regardless if it's a gym or starting a new job or going to school for the first time, whatever it is, it's very daunting. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know, we have to start somewhere. Like I wasn't born to train people, and I wasn't born in the gym. Like I actually wasn't at all. I was always this kind of overweight kid who didn't really train that much. Like I did a bit of football when I was younger, but I was never like really, really into my training or really into my food as much. So I had to learn it from just putting myself out there. Like, it's not comfortable going into a new environment, but it shouldn't be. Like, you need to get out of your comfort zone and be, like, what's the word I always say when I'm in class, actually, and people, they probably cringe as well, but whatever. It's like learning to be comfortable, being uncomfortable. And that's when I was like, when I first started to you guys, I was like, I'm not really a great footballer. I'm not good technically, but I'm going to put myself out there and go and look where I'm at now. So I'm grateful for that. Same with the gym. I went on my own to PTI. I went in and signed up myself, not my mom. And I was like, I'm going to do this. I don't really know how to move well properly. I don't really know how to squat. I don't know what these movements are, but I'm going to go and I'm going to try. And I haven't looked back since. So like you said, there's so many more young girls and women going to the gym now, and they're oozing with confidence. And I'm like, I love that for you. I love that for people who walk in, regardless what they look like, and they're just doing their job. They're doing what they need to do. Same with lads, with younger boys. You go into the gym, you don't worry too much about what anyone else is or doing, because they're not really looking at you. They're looking at themselves. They want to improve themselves. Like, that's what I go. When I go into the gym and I'm just training, I'm not coaching, I'm just training myself. I don't really care what the person next to me is doing. All I'm concerned with is my training and doing what I can and being the best I can in that moment. And then when I coach, obviously I care what people are doing. But it's just, I suppose, not being afraid of what is inside the gym. Just go in. If you don't know, ask someone. Ask for help. Like, I think people don't like asking for help because they feel like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, and it's really shy. You're never going to learn by just standing there. You're never going to learn by just not researching. You're always going to learn if you ask, if you research, if you Google, if you watch on YouTube, if you just bother, put yourself out there, and I promise you, you're going to get more out of it than what you would by doing nothing. So that's my advice, I guess. Just do it. Mm-hmm. That's it.
With wearing the full Nike rig out saying just do it.
Honestly, if they want to sponsor me, I would be very happy.
You're a pawn of the media.
Yeah, it's time.
It's time.
No, it's right. You deserve the sponsor now. I'm pretty sure you wear Nike boots as well, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Phenomenal. Yeah, we're both in full Nike rig outs. Morgan, you're usually the Nike.
I'm actually not wearing a single bit of Nike yet. I buy my jocks are Nike. My jocks are Nike. I'm being honest. Sorry for being crude. But, yeah, no, they are.
Oh, that is.
And actually, Joe, what I was only because we used to always have conversations about wearing full Nike, and you never see me out of Nike gear. No one normally does, but slowly, especially events like this,
for a little bit more
formal. You know,
fair.
Zara shoes, penny socks, Nike jocks.
You've definitely evolved over the last
I'm evolving,
year.
Yeah, more like casual. Joe's a huge influence on that.
Patrick Kirk.
Patrick Kirk.
He dresses so well.
Yeah. He comes over. He's working for us now, Jenna.
I feel like I did, but I didn't, if I was officially now. But
well, you don't know.
So he's doing photography and videography, or was it just photography? Was it
bit of everything?
Yeah, decent.
Bit of everything. And he comes up to the gaff, and I'm like, fuck.
He looks great. Like, I'll give it to him.
Gorgeous, isn't he?
Like, I'm like, no one else could wear that and pull it off, but he does. Like, he just looks great.
Yeah.
I saw him today, actually, buddy. I didn't even acknowledge what he was wearing. I feel really bad now. I was a brief encounter, but he was in with the lads, and I was like, oh. But yeah.
Yeah, he always looks the part.
Yeah, fair.
He always looks the part.
Do you think fashion is an extension of like what you think like creativity and art is, or do you think it's just like something that people just put on like a fabric?
No, I'd like to think it's like bit your own personality, bit creativity, because, well, it depends on some people. Like, everyone is so different, and I can't speak for everyone in the world. But like the likes of Paddy, even you guys now, to be fair, like, it's your personality. It's like how you want to perceive yourself and how you want to go about yourself. It's how you dress, I think. Like, I'm really basic. I like kind of basic stuff. as you can probably guess, one of my favorite colors to wear is black. It's not my favorite color, but it's one of my favorite colors to wear. But yeah, like I like certain brands to what I wear, so I usually stick to that, and it kind of does give off what I like to think. But there's some nights where I just put on penny shorts, oversized jumper, and long socks and slides, and that's the way I'm gonna dress. But then some days I'll go out and I'll actually put maybe a pair of jeans on if I'm feeling fancy, and nice little top and just a cardigan or whatever, just an oversized t-shirt. So it depends on how you are on the day and how you want to feel for an event, maybe. Oh, sorry, I hit that. But like, yeah, I think it definitely is with personality and kind of being a bit more creative for most people. But then I can't speak for everyone. But
Yeah, same with people with cars and fashion too. Like it's some things like people see a car as getting from A to B. Some of us see like a car as like the epitome of what like materialist goods are. Like yeah, it's very funny. I definitely think like I personally like fashion. I like paying attention to like different styles and fabrics, but I think that's only because like I've kind of have like more of an appreciation for like going back to like the gratitude thing, just like the small things.
Yeah.
Like you always put on clothes every day, so why not make that a consistent routine that is a net positive to you, if that makes sense. You can have a bit of joy doing it. Because I remember one of the things I really hated about school was putting on the same uniform every day, and that I just didn't enjoy that process. Whereas now when you get up, or let's say you have an event, it makes it like 10 times more enjoyable. Like actually having to enjoy the process of like, oh, I like that color, I'm gonna match it with that, and then like I really enjoyed like buying a piece or a pair of runners or something that's like a little bit out of the comfort zone. It's like this is like a new chapter. I think I rocked back over the weekend with a sleeveless jacket, and what did you say, Morgan? It was audacious.
I can't remember what I said, but it is nice. It is nice, but I can't imagine you wearing it. You still need to wear it.
Exactly. So it's like an extension. I think so anyway.
yeah, I agree. Absolutely agree.
Right, we're nearly coming towards the end of the podcast, but also the end of your season.
Yes.
Outcomes. Well, going into the season, to be quite honest with you, you've moved to Wexford, very well known for domestic prowess in the Irish league, the women's league. What were your outcomes going into it? Personally first.
Personally, I wanted just to play consistently week in, week out. I knew it was gonna be tougher. Well, not even tougher, but more challenging, because like that there's loads of really talented established players at Wexford that have been there years. So I knew, I was like, okay, you're the new girl coming in. It's gonna be a challenge for you, but I was like, I'm up for it. I want to play consistently week in, week out. I want to play consistently well. So I said to myself, we'll go for like, and this is like me being, I don't know, maybe a bit critical, but like 6 to like 7, 8 out of 10 each week. 8 is obviously quite high, but 6, 7 out of 10 each week. Play consistently, do the right things 90% of the time, hopefully. Impact the game, affect the game. That's what I kind of wanted to go for. I wanted to obviously get a couple of goals. I've only one at the moment, but I have a few games left, so I'm gonna just be as consistent as I can and go back to my fundamentals of playing well each week. And then obviously I wanted the team to do well this year. And I know there's talks that we probably haven't had our best season, and fair enough, that's football. Like every team in the world is not going to have 10 out of 10 season every season or every time. So I'm not too bummed about that. I've enjoyed my season so far. I think I've played consistently well. I'd like to think I've impacted the games we've played and done well. And I've enjoyed my time at Wexford so far. Like the girls have been great. Everyone's been so good to me, and I've actually made really good friends there. And I'm excited for the rest of the season to see where we can go and just finish out as strong as we can. Because like that, football is a really, like what I've learned, probably I should have said this at the start, when you asked me about learning lessons from football, it's a huge roller coaster, like of emotions, mentally and physically. It's so taxing, but I wouldn't want it any other way. I've enjoyed how I've done my career so far, and I know it can only get better, it can get worse, but that's the beauty of football. Like, you don't sign up for it because it's easy. You don't sign up for anything because it's really easy. You sign up for it because you want the challenge, you want the adversity, and that's what I'm getting this year, and I'm enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. You're talking about roller coaster of emotions and so on. Games as we know, are extremely emotional and tough. What is, regardless if it goes good or bad, what is the first thing you do after a game? So obviously you go into the dressing room, get changed, whatever. But what's the first conscious decision you make after a game?
It's a good question. Whether we win or whether we lose, I go home. Well, I obviously go to the dressing room, and I'm like thinking about how the game went, performance wise. I would probably just think to myself like, okay, what would you rate yourself? And I rate myself either 6, 5, 2. I wouldn't give myself 2, but like whatever. And I'm like, usually, it's like I try to be positive. I'm like, did you do your job well? And usually it's, yeah, I've done it pretty well, or else it was average, or else maybe these things could have improved. But I just kind of make me give myself like a moment or two just to like process the game and see how I got on. And usually it is hard, like you said, when you lose games, it is really tough to switch off from it. And I'm pretty bad with that. Like I'm learning as we go to switch off and to leave it on the pitch. And I like that when the highs are great, they're high. When the lows are poor, they're very poor. But it's just now, each game, regardless of the result, evaluate how I got on. Did I do my job? And then I try to just switch off, to be honest. I just leave it for the next day or the next training session. I'm like, what's done is done. And it's not always easy. Don't get me wrong. I don't always have that mindset. There's days where I've come off, and even the next day I'm feeling sorry for myself, and that's something I need to get off that bandwagon, to stop feeling sorry for myself. Like, it's a game. You probably didn't play well. You probably got taken off. Who cares? Like, you're the only one that's dwelling on it now. You can react to that. You can switch off. You can be like, okay, these are what I need to work on. This is what happened. Get on with it. That's it. So there's definitely two different ways I approach it. Some days I approach it really well and I switch off there and then. I enjoy my evening or enjoy the next day. But there are times when I do really dwell on it, and that's something I need to work on. So it's definitely a match by match process, I feel.
Mm-hmm. The journaling might help. Do that the next day.
Yeah. So when I have, obviously we have no match this weekend because international break, but when we play Rovers in 2 weeks' time, I'll react to that result. I'll react to that week of training, and I'll journal it and hopefully react better and be more grateful that I get to play. Not many people get to play due to injuries or just lifestyle. So I'm like, Abbie, you get to play week in, week out at the highest level you possibly can right now. Be grateful for that. Be grateful you get to play, and you're been starting for a really good team in the league. So yeah, definitely chatting about it now. I'm going into this next 2 weeks and being like, yeah, you need to be more grateful and just not be so negative. Because don't get me wrong, I can be really, really negative. That's my own issue. But it doesn't need to be. You don't need to be, because it's how I react to it.
Nice. Beautiful. Well put. Well put.
On that note.
Fantastic. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having
me.
me.
As always. Probably a bit overdue.
Yeah.
I know we had mentioned it previously when we said we were going to start getting guests on.
Yeah,
but,
I remember.
It's fantastic to get you on.
I'm delighted
And
to be
again,
here.
thank you for your kind words earlier to all of us.
Of course.
It's greatly appreciated.
You can give me the 50 quid for that after. I'm joking.
Yeah.
There's a brand involved there, don't you worry.
Yield up. Yeah, but thank you for your consistency is probably the best way to describe it over the last X number of years. It's genuinely greatly appreciated. That's nice to get you on, do your first podcast.
I know.
You were excellent. Spoke very well. So you do this for a living. So yeah, thank you again.
Thank you so much, guys.
And
I
I'm
appreciate
sure a lot
it.
of people will get a lot of value out of this. So
I hope so.
fantastic. Thank you.